What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You guys already know what it is. It's draft season all year long, and today we have an Indianapolis Colts mock draft here for you. And the Colts right now are a team that is just they don't have an identity, simply off of the fact that they don't have a legit head coach. Okay, Jeff Saturday shocked the world by beating Josh McDaniels and the Raiders in his first game, and they have just been garbage ever since, which is what everyone anticipated to happen. So, first of all, this team, when you look at the roster, is not horrible. Okay, they've already got, I think, a pretty solid defense in my opinion. It just starts with the coaching. Okay, they need a head coach to lead this football team, and most importantly, after that is the quarterback position, which we're most definitely going to address here in this draft. But they need a head coach to give them an identity, to give them direction, to give them leadership. That's what they don't have right now, and that's truly what's lacking. I don't think that I'm making a bold statement here by saying that. I think it's pretty obvious, but in terms of the talent, I think a lot of it is already here in the building. They just need someone to lead them in the right direction. And before we get started drafting in this video, if you guys are an Indianapolis Colts fan, consider sharing the video. The more views it gets, the more likely I am to make a mock draft for this team again in the future. And if you like anything related to the NFL draft, consider subscribing. So, starting this NFL draft right here, everything looks as I think it would go. I mean, Bryce Young goes here at 1, Anderson, Carter, and Murphy follow, and we have the option here to take any quarterback we want. Now, I'm not sure why Will Levis is so high on their board, because if you've watched him play in college football, it's not all that great. I mean, he's got an arm, that's for sure. I mean, he's got an absolute cannon, but there's a lot of questions up in the air still with him as a quarterback prospect. I'd be more safe and feel better taking C.J. Stroud here with a number 5 overall pick. We're not going to spend too much time here talking about why. It's pretty obvious. This team needs a quarterback. They've decided to go down this path of taking veteran quarterback after veteran quarterback year after year, and these guys are all just washed. I think we need to go in the complete opposite direction here. Take a quarterback here in the NFL draft, a young guy to develop and build chemistry with this team over an extended period of time. That's what this team really needs right now. C.J. Stroud, probably one of the more accurate quarterbacks in this year's class. He's got good touch under his football, and I mean, just an all-around good football player. This is a guy who doesn't use his legs a ton, and he probably should be using them more considering how athletic he is, but he has the ability to be accurate. He's got the good arm strength. He's been very good at his reads and his decision-making over the course of his time at Ohio State. So, not a lot of things that I can really say are bad in CJ Stroud's game. There are definitely places that he can improve, such as making anticipatory throws and not hesitating as much, but those are very nitpicky things. I think CJ Stroud is going to be another good Ohio State quarterback product, and I'm talking about Justin Fields coming out in recent drafts, so I'm not worried about the school that he's coming from. I think CJ Stroud is the future franchise quarterback here for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, if we're going to talk about some needs on this team, okay, I'm not a person who always drafts for need. Sometimes I take the best player available simply because of the value that they possess. But I think some of the needs on this team are probably guard. I would say tackle, but Braden Smith has not had a good season, but they have him through under contract through 2025, so they're not going to replace him. Bernard Raymond obviously has had his struggles, but he's a second-round rookie, so we're not going to replace him immediately. We have to give him some time to develop. I think we could definitely use some more depth at wide receiver. I don't think that's a position that's set in stone. I think there's definitely room for improvement there as well. And you take a look at the defense. I mean, pretty much every position I think looks suitable. I mean, you guys can create pressure with a 4-man rush, so that says a lot in itself right there. But I think this team could definitely use slight improvements here and there. They're kind of in a tough situation right now. So taking a look what we have here, I'm not completely sure, if any of these guys fill any needs, and it really doesn't look like it. So this might be a position here where we just take one of the better players available. I think that's exactly what we're going to do here. So taking a look, Siaki Ika is here. I don't know how much of a role he'd be playing, though, just because Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner are just studs in the middle of this defensive line. I don't know if you want to take those guys off the field to get Siaki Ika some snaps. Could we potentially take a cornerback here? I feel like Isaiah Rodgers has had himself a pretty under-the-radar year. He's been pretty solid. One of the faster guys in our league. Stephon Gilmore is aging, so you could have a guy ready to take his place under him after that. I could definitely see that as an option. Um, Also, I mean, Kenny Moore, he's good at cornerback. So I don't know if a cornerback would be starting day one, but this could be a good pick in terms of having some youth at the position for the future. So that's definitely something that we could consider here. We could consider taking an offensive lineman too. I mean, we could replace Will Fries. I think we're going to do that. And, even Quentin Nelson hasn't been playing up to the standard that we know him to usually play. So I don't think his job should be safe and set in stone as well. I mean, that's just me. I understand, some guys are playing just because of where they were taking in their respective draft, but I don't think you should just hand a guy a job simply off of that fact. I mean, these guys need to come in and compete year after year to save their job. So I think what we're going to go and do here is, I mean, there's a ton of value here at certain positions, but I think we need to get this offensive line a little better. This offensive line as a unit has just not been good this year. And I think that this wouldn't be a reach taking Andrew Voorhees here with the number 36 pick, as he is the number 41 overall player in the big board. We're going to take him just simply because he's not far off of the best player available. We need a guard. Look, this offensive line has just been atrocious this year, and I don't know if that's because the quarterback is holding on to the ball too long. I mean, that could definitely be part of it, but there needs to be some sort of improvement. So we're going to do that here. And look, I really don't mind taking an offensive lineman because I firmly believe in building through the trenches. Look, if you watch this channel, video after video, time after time, you guys know that I'm constantly talking about building through the trenches because it's so important to have a stable offensive and a stable defensive line. It just makes the job easier on both sides of the football. And like I said, the chemistry, I don't know what it is, the production, none of it is good this year for the Indianapolis Colts. So I'm glad that we got some offensive line help there. Now, there's here a ton of offensive linemen here. So could we just get more depth and more competition at those positions? Maybe. I don't know if you guys would really like that though. We have this thing here, the analysis. So tackle. I mean, here's the thing, right? I would love to see Bernard Raymond progress. That's the thing. But again, there's talent here in the third round where it's like we could bring in a guy and just see what he's capable of, and he could end up taking Bernard Raymond's job. But I'm just taking a look at the other guys here. We don't need a defensive tackle at the moment. We definitely don't need a running back. We definitely don't need a tight end. Just so much depth at those positions. I don't know. I just don't see much of a need here. I mean, look, honestly, we could take those positions, but like I said, right, you're paying Braden Smith a ton of money. Ryan Kelly also is getting paid a lot of money. Bernard Raymond's a young player that I would love to see develop because I think it's not fair to give him just that 1 year, considering that he's a second-round pick. We already got a guard to potentially, fit into one of those left or right guard spots. I can't imagine it'd be Quentin Nelson, though. So I just feel like we take a guy here. I don't think he'd be starting. As I scroll down the board, though, I do see some potential players that could be day one starters that I think are worth taking in this spot, okay? That player that I'm talking about is Zay Flowers, okay? Dude isn't really tall. I think he's about 5'9", 5'10", but he has got some explosive speed. I mean, this is a guy who has the ability to change direction in a heartbeat. I mean, this is one of the most agile players in the entire draft. I think he's being slept on a little bit right now. I mean, this guy is so athletic, and despite his height, he's also a deep threat. He can run every route very well. I think he can, be a factor in anywhere of the field. The short passing game, the deep passing game, throwing it over the middle of the field. I mean, this guy, I think, is truly going under the radar here. I really like Zay Flowers, and if you want to keep Alec Pierce on the outside along with Michael Pittman, Zay Flowers would do just a fine job playing in the slot as well. So I think what we're going to do here is take Zay Flowers here. I know that Paris Campbell has kind of had himself like the breakout year that we kind of waited to see out of him, but I think we just need a little bit more production out of our wide receiving group. I just don't think we have it right now. So I'm going to ignore the grades here, despite having a good one here in the first round. I don't really like the way that PFF grades draft picks and stuff. But CJ Stroud, getting that franchise quarterback, we need to change our ways, draft a young quarterback to develop, and have stability at the position so we don't have a new guy year after year after year. It's just so frustrating to see the path that this Indianapolis Colts team has taken with the quarterback position and how they've handled it over the past few years. Again, we wanted to address the offensive line because guard play has just been miserable. I mean, offensive line play as a whole has just been miserable for the Colts. We need to give our young quarterback time to throw the ball in the pocket. And Zay Flowers, again, is a guy that I think should be going much higher than the third round, just simply off of his, athletic ability and the talent that he possesses to just weave through defenders, create big explosive plays after the catch, and his ability to be a deep threat as well. I mean, Zay Flowers is definitely a guy that you got to keep your eye on here through the draft process. I could imagine he's going to get a much better draft representation, or what is the word that I'm looking for? I mean, his draft stock will rise as the draft goes on. When we see the combine, when we see his pro day, he's going to catch a lot of eyes. So I love the way that this draft went. I do think that we may have reached for a couple of players, but not a significant amount. But I do think that this team gets better, and we did draft 3 potential day one starters for this football team. Let me know what you guys think about this mock draft in the comment section below. And if you guys enjoyed the NFL draft, if you love the Indianapolis Colts, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys all later. Peace.